If you'd like to purchase Magic Online cards at competitive prices, check out our web store at mtgoacademy.com/store.
Alright, time for the finals with blue-red. And that's blue-red. Would you like to mulligan? No. Reckless Reveler and the good Satanic Smith. The Satanic Smith has been pretty sweet in this kind of deck, and there's a Retraction Helix already to go with it. Flamespeak Adept has also done a very good job. Just being a 4/3 first strike so often. Looks like my opponent does not have a 2-drop, and I'm on the play. So this is almost like casting an Ordeal. Maybe even, well, I wouldn't say stronger. The strongest thing you can do in this format is definitely 1-drop into Ordeal, like a good 1-drop into an Ordeal. But this Nick Smith is just amazing again. So here, I will not be attacking with the Nick Smith, clearly. And my opponent is probably trading with an elemental token here. Down to 14. Plays a 3-drop or a 4-drop maybe. Nalia's Disciple. Yeah. So let's put the trigger on the stack and bounce the Disciple. That's 0 life gained and another trigger. Well, basically 2 more triggers because I get to untap this next turn. So that's 8 down to 7. Opponent can recast the Disciple, go up to 9, and then block one of the 3 drops and takes exactly lethal. Yeah, another creature is definitely not better than that. This was absolutely brutal. The Nick Smith on the play with a 2-drop and the Retraction Helix. So pretty much the nut draw that this deck is capable of. Playing against blue with at least one toughness creature. So Spark Jolt doesn't seem too bad. Partner of Betrayal is pretty good against blue, and also solid against oh, did I say it's very good against green and also solid against blue? That's what I wanted to say. It's definitely better than Mnemonic Wall in this kind of matchup. I like Dragon Mantle and Fearsome Temper to get through my opponent's big creatures, but this really depends on how aggressive I want to be playing. With the amount of cards that I have, okay, my opponent has a nice chat here. Agreeing with me that his deck is probably a bit too slow to be playing the finals. Which is kind of what we saw, and I just crushed him because of it. So I could lose a Crackling Triton. It's not amazing against green, and it's only solid against blue. My opponent has already shown Nessinasp and Nylea's Disciple, which is what I'm basing these decisions on. So Crackling Triton looks weaker than a Fearsome Temper. I'm not necessarily the most aggressive, but the temper's ability might actually become quite relevant. So let's try this. My opponent is keeping, and I have no lands, so that's one of the easiest mulligans. Another Nick Smith draw. It is going to be much weaker on the draw, though. Let's see how slow my opponent's deck really is. I'm sure that he'll have something on the battlefield when I have this. One thing that could happen is that my opponent has only the Hedonist as a 2-drop, but no 3-drop, so he attacks with the Hedonist, and then I get to get in with the Nick Smith. I'm also playing the 2 islands to feign weakness. After a mulligan, my opponent has a very good shot, or has a reason to believe that I might be stuck on only islands. So even if he was contemplating playing around the Nick Smith, by holding back the Hedonist. Me having 2 islands gives him less information about the fact that I might be able to cast it next turn. Wow, foil Perforos. I'm gonna keep my basic strategy here by attacking with the elemental. I want the board to be relatively clear if I can help it. Now this Perforos is not the end of the world, but I have to be careful about not getting burned out. Karametra's Acolyte is a very good blocker for my elementals, that's for sure. I think I would Rage of Perforos that if I draw the land. No, an uncastable Ember Swallower. That's not a good card to draw. Only 1 card to play here. I need lands now. Land into Rage would have been really good because I could have scryed another land to the top maybe. This Perforos looks like it's a splash card, so it's not going to be activated. It's just generating the damage. Which means that if I want to bounce my opponent's creatures, I better make sure that it's lethal pretty soon. Opaline Unicorn. Opponent has all the mana in the world, but this would have been the turn to cast a Nassian Asp. Well, my opponent can still do that, but seems to just have mana. Okay, this is an interesting attack. First of all, it's an attack that just runs into Retraction Helix headlong. My opponent is on red, blue, green, so attacking with the Hedonist here tells me that either he just wants to activate Perforos to trade with one of my creatures, or that he has Feral Invocation. Now I cannot let Feral Invocation blow me out, but I also cannot take too much damage. So I'm blocking with the 1 creature that is pretty weak on this board anyway, and that plays around Feral Invocation. There's the Retraction Helix, so that's something. That's a start. I don't really want to bounce any of the creatures my opponent has there. I'm more than happy to bounce something huge on my opponent's side of the board, which he might be playing next turn with all the mana in the world. Oh, there's actually quite a lot of red mana. So now the Perforos' second ability is actually a lot more relevant than I thought. If this is a 6-drop, I'm definitely bouncing it. Okay, it's Flitterstep Eidolon. That's cute, but doesn't seem very good to me to play it like this. If this is attacking, then I'm definitely preparing a strike back. So I'm taking the 2 here, and I'm going to Retraction Helix the Karametra's Acolyte. That way I'm not dependent on drawing a land. And well, if I draw a land, I could Rage and have 2 scry triggers, but I can also just spend my mana on this to get a 3/1 haste creature. Now my opponent is down to 6, and I don't think that this Perforos is racing me. This Flitterstep Eidolon looked very ambitious. Don't think I completely agree. Cursor of Crufix into Polis Crusher. Oh my god. So now the value starts, and Opaline Unicorn, is it still attacking? No, it's scared now. Understandably. If I draw a land, I have the Rage of Perforos, and then I should be winning. I don't think I can make an elemental here. I have 2 creatures getting through, but only for 5 damage at most. And my opponent gets to eat a bunch of creatures. Now if I draw a land, that's actually kind of interesting. If I draw a land, then Omen Speaker will allow me to scry. So then that's almost as good as casting Rage of Perforos, I think. I'm not losing. I'm not losing this game the next turn. Even if I take five, well, I could lose actually. I could lose to the Perforos activated ability. So if I don't draw land, then I might just not have any attacks. However, if I'm sure that I get to scry, then I will definitely have attacks. If only with the Flamespeaker Adept. So that tells me I should hold back. I should keep the mana available for the Flame Speakers instead of making a token. Alright, here we go. Rage of Perforos takes out the Cursor. And then I could actually have Lethal. Let me check. These are going to be 4 power each, and these are going to be 2 power each. So my opponent is forced to block the 2 Flame Speakers with his 2 remaining creatures. He can activate Perforos once, but that doesn't help him. He won't gain any life, and I know the card that he's going to draw. These 2 creatures are gone, so his only creature is a Flitterstep Eidolon that will deal 1 plus how many my opponent wants to pump into this. But even with the 2 damage from Polis Crusher, that's by far not killing me, ever. So, yeah, I think the train is rolling. Alright, 1 life, 1 Flitterstep Eidolon, and the Polis Crusher that's going to come down. I go down to 6. My opponent could take me to 4 here, but he's dead on the return. Swing. I'll just make this. Show him 1 more scry card, because I can. And then that's it. Victory. Whew. Yeah, that was nice. I like blue-red in this format. I like it more than others. I think it's, if you build it as a combo deck with a lot of sweet cards, Retraction Helix, Nick Smith, Flamespeaker Adept are actually some of the key cards, and then you can get so much scry and things to work with. You can also build it a bit differently with the help of Ravecrest Triton and Aquarius Form. It helps to have some rares. The Biden was definitely amazing. Seagull's Revenge, I only cast once, but it was good. Ember Swallow is just a very solid card, clearly. Nick Smith was one of the best cards in this deck, and I'm also very happy to have picked the Retraction Helix very early. They have been absolutely amazing. Now, the one lesson from this draft is, even if you start off with, where is it, a Crone Skyguard, and then you get past Glimpse the Sun God, you can still end up in blue-red if that's the colors that are open and that you would rather be drafting. Even though it's not the preferred color combination, white-red and white-blue are actually better. Well, this is where you would want to be going. The fact that white just dried up, red kept coming, and there were a couple of blue cards, not necessarily a high amount, but definitely the more powerful blue cards that you want to have. Even a card like Deepwater Hypnotist, the 2 Retraction Helixes, Stratus Walk, those cards are never going to be bad in your blue decks. And then Theros just showed me that blue-red was where I should be. Stormcaller of Kuranos never really got to shine, but it's a pretty sweet card if you can make it work. I think this draft was really interesting. You could have gone a bunch of directions. I willingly accepted the fact that there could be some kind of 3-color thing going on. Not that I was willing to play 3 colors, but I was willing to draft 3 colors in Born of the Gods and then decide with the first Theros pack, and that basically put me into the colors that I managed to win the draft with. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. This was quite the beating. My opponent just couldn't handle the speed, even though I was the control deck in my other matchups, quite interestingly. All right, I'm Simon Götzen, recording Simon Says for Mtgo Academy. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next time. Bye bye.